Relationships, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Welcome to Remind Us. My name is Aiden. Today I want to cover relationships. Why do they begin? Why do we get into a relation? Why do relationships end? Why do they seem to end horribly most of the times? And what can we do to prevent this massive roller coaster of high feelings, low feelings, anxiety, depression? What can we do to make relations better for us? Or if the relation isn't working at all, how can we get out of them without necessarily causing a big fight and things like that? So, I want to actually go way back in time first, somewhere up to the late 1900s, like maybe up to 1980, 1990. Have you ever noticed that back then people seemed to find their partner, married them, and they stayed married until death do its part? And that just doesn't seem to exist in our modern world anymore. There is something that has gone away over time, and I would like to look into that too. But have you ever noticed how these older couples seem to always care so much less about the little pitfalls? Like you didn't do the dishes, like something silly little as that could cause a fight now in a relation, especially if it happens continuously. Whereas in these old fashioned relations, these marriages, everybody had their part in the household. Everybody knew what their task was. And instead of ignoring it or constantly avoiding it, everybody did their part to make the relation work. People were very easy to sit down with and discuss things openly. We now live in a time where we seem to just swallow our emotions, swallow what's bothering us out of fear that we might cause an issue, an argument, and the relation might go south because of that. These older couples also seem to have a genuine care for one another. It wasn't necessarily, oh my God, I love you so much. There is nothing else for me but you. No, they just genuinely cared for each other. They looked after each other. I think back in these old days, marriage was also a form of social security. You were living together, not necessarily depending together, but I mean, depending on each other, but rather looking after each other. Like back in the old days, the man would make the money and the woman would be the stay at home mom and the caretaker of the household. I remember when I grew up, my parents were married and both of them were working parents. They both had a full time job. My mom was a nurse and my dad was he worked for the rail yard in Belgium. So they both were full time workers. And yet, when both of them came home, I always remembered my mom was doing the laundry, my mom was doing the cooking. I don't recall anything that really seemed to be assigned to just my dad. I don't even think I ever saw my dad mow the lawn once. Yes, my mom even mowed the lawn. I mean, granted, our yard wasn't big, but still, you see, all these chores, let's call them that, they all seem to follow my mom. And most of it was also me, the little kid running around. My mom was the one always looking after me. She helped me with my homework. She would take me to the park. My dad, he took me to the movie theater every now and then. That was something he enjoyed. It didn't take any effort on his part. He just had to pay my ticket, obviously, but we would sit there quietly and enjoy the movie. So when I grew up, I watched lots of movies in the movie theater. Anyway, back to the point of marriage. These things are no longer so. And I think around the time, and we call them the millennials, people that came of age right around the millennium are technically considered the millennials. So what does that mean? People that were born in mm, the late 70s, the early 80s, up to the mid 80s. The way I like to see it is, if your childhood was still the kind where you had no internet, no cell phones, instead of always sitting at home in front of a TV, you were out in the world playing in the woods, playing in the yard, in the play park at the end of the street. If those are things you did as a child and you still remember them vividly, do you also recall that people just had fun with other people? You didn't need technology. You didn't all stare at a phone like zombies. So if you remember that time before internet, social media, always, like a couch potato in front of your TV, I actually consider those the pre-millennials. I think the millennials already grew up with a cell phone, the internet. So I consider myself a pre-millennial, although technically I am a millennial. But something changed in that generation. The world sped up dramatically. And I literally mean it sped up. Back in the day, like I said, we had to sit down and have communications live, one on one, sitting in front of another person, no screen to stare at, nothing to suggest what you should be saying, nothing. We knew what communicating was. Nowadays, with social media, yes, we are all quote unquote talking to each other, but the second you are sitting in front of a real person, how quickly does the conversation just die? You don't know what to say. Why? Because there's no computer screen in front of you. It's a real person now. How weird is that? I just don't understand it. I love good conversation. And I don't mean about what's going on the news in Russia, Ukraine, or the immigrant status, or who's president, what's about politics. Not that kind of conversation. Real, deep, intellectual conversations. I miss them. I crave them. And another reason why I'm making this YouTube channel is basically, if I don't have someone to talk about these things with, I'll just put it on YouTube. If somebody enjoys hearing a mind like mine, then great, here is mine. But yes, we now live in a world of instant gratification. Like everything on our cell phone, we click a button and instantly there is a result. I'm not just talking about clicking on a Google search and click search and now boom, you have results. No, I really mean on every aspect. You're hungry, you get on an app, Uber Ride or whatever, Uber Eats. You order your food from your couch now. You don't even have to get up and communicate with a person. Yes, I'll have a hamburger, please, or a bag of fries, whatever. You see, that's what I mean. We just click a couple of buttons, boom, instant gratification. We have to do nothing anymore. We don't have to think about anything anymore. The ramifications, what could go wrong, what could go right. We just click on buttons and our life is solved essentially. But is it really? Because this video is about relationships, and you see where this is going. Our line of communication has broken down to such an extent, and we are all about instant gratification. We have carried this also into relations. So for the millennials and the younger generations, whatever you call them, what is it, Generation Z now, the crystal children, they're having a very difficult time because we grew up with Disney movies where there was always this get married and happily ever after. The romance is through the roof everywhere. In the real world, that just doesn't seem to be the case. So a lot of us walk around broken, depressed. We even hide in our own home. We become a hermit. Why? We don't want to get hurt like that ever again. So we think it's better to just sit in the safety of our own house, the safety of being alone. But that's really not a solution either. If you're alone for the wrong reasons, I'm not saying alone time is a bad thing. I'm just saying if you're alone purely to avoid getting hurt emotionally, physically, financially, that is not a good thing. This world, this planet, our Earth, is about just that, life experiences. If you're going to spend all your time at home just sitting there, you're not going to gain life experiences. You can hoard all the entertainment you want in your house. This is not life. This is distraction from it. Distraction from life. That is what all your entertainment in your house is. So, how do we get into relations? I want you to think about that for a minute. How is it that you, quote unquote, fall in love with a person? We meet people most of the time in their natural, free state. What do I mean by that? These people are happy because they have nothing to worry about. These people are themselves because nobody is judging them. And even if someone is judging them, they don't care because when they go home, they're alone and they have nothing to worry about. We are falling in love with free people. And what happens once you start a relation, we slowly start to change one another. Instead of now being this free, careless, happy person, say you were single and you would hit the bar on the weekend all the time. You would flirt with some people and then go home happy, or with somebody you met at the bar. And the next day you go back to the real world, back to work, back to whatever you have to do. Now you're in a relation and you are slowly becoming somebody else. What do I mean by somebody else? You care about the other person's feelings now. And as much as it sounds like a good thing, and it should be, you care about the other person in a way that you start limiting and restricting who you are in order to avoid that other person from stopping you. What could be a good example? You used to go out to the bar on the weekend to go get drunk, and now your boyfriend or girlfriend might say, well, I don't want to go to the bar. I just want to stay home and relax. Two things can happen. Okay, dear, I'll stay home with you too. Let's just watch a movie together. Or you're going to say, well, I want to go to the bar and enjoy some free leisure time. And more often than not, the other partner will have some form of reaction that says, no, please don't. And right there is where the problem actually begins. They say, no, please don't. But nobody investigates their feelings as to why did you actually just say no. The truth is, we say no to our partner for our own emotional protection. What I mean by that is you are afraid your partner might actually have a good time at the bar and you're not there. So you'll be jealous. You're afraid your partner might meet somebody at the bar and flirt with them. You are jealous, insecure. You are afraid you might just flat out lose your partner because he has a better time with somebody else than he has with you overall. You see what I mean? You are not just saying, no, please don't go. You are limiting your partner from doing something he enjoys. And you knew this before you stepped in the relation with this person because that's how you met them. You met them in their free state. We do the same thing with pets. When we go to the pet store looking for a pet, we see pets. Oh, that's so cute. That's so, that makes me feel happy inside when I see that little kitten crawling around. And we buy the kitten. Actually, let's take a different animal, a bunny. Just a rabbit bunny, something. Some kids get bunnies every now and then. You get the bunny, you bring it home, and instead of letting this bunny hop around happily on its own, you put it in a little cage in a corner of a room because that bunny made you happy when it was somewhere else. You saw it. I'm like, oh, this makes me happy when I see this. Let me bring that home. And now you put it in a little corner. And let's face it, be honest with yourself. How often do you take that bunny out of its cage and play with it? Just have a good time with it. More likely than not, that bunny is just sitting in a cage and only comes out when you are going to clean it. You probably don't even take it out to feed it. You just pull the feeders up the side of the cage and hang them right back and walk away. Boom. I'll see you next week. How sad is that? And yet we do similar things with our partners. Where is the cage in a relation? For humans, the cage should really be as big as planet Earth. And yet the cage is most of the time constructed purely on an emotional security basis. If you feel insecure about a place your partner wants to go and you do not, you're going to limit them from going there. And if you let them go, what do you do when he comes home or she comes home? Do you question them? Or do you just accept that they are home again and now you relax, you cook dinner together and let it go like it never even happened? See, when I was younger, I actually had the same struggle. I met somebody, they made me happy. I got into a relation with them, and then I started telling them, "Oh, don't go out without me because I don't want you to meet another dude and run away, or don't go hang out with your friends without me because you're going to be talking behind my back bad things about me." I like to think I was a good person overall, but our insecure mind will actually tick like that. It's terrible, especially if you focus on it for 5 minutes. And back then, I didn't see that as I'm suffocating my partner. My partner wants to go do things. Most often, I would join, like we would hit the clubs. I mean, yeah, I was young. But guess what? In clubs, everybody is wearing a very hot outfit. Like, girls are practically wearing a bikini in the club. Guys are wearing really nice tight outfits. I mean, when you're young, we all look great. We got a six pack or an eight pack, even, whatever. We're trying to look our best to attract the other gender. But that's the funny thing. Here we're in a relation and we don't want to get hurt by our partner. So we try to get out of these scenes. We try to stay away from the club. We did go to the club still. And even my female partner at the time would observe that I'm looking at the other girls. I wasn't chasing them. I wasn't even talking to them. I was just looking at them like, I approve. Ooh, that one looks good. And my girlfriend would have a jealous reaction. And I couldn't understand that back then. I'm in my head, I'm thinking, there's nothing wrong with looking. What if I look at a tree outside? She wouldn't have this reaction. What if I look at my neighbor walking his dog? Like, she wouldn't have that reaction. It would be just, nothing going on here. No, we're in a club full of hot women and hot guys, and suddenly it's an issue. I am looking at my opposite gender, and she would have a reaction to that. Funny enough, if she did the same when she looked at guys and she got excited or something when she saw somebody good looking, I did not have a reaction usually. And back then, I didn't even consider that was strange. But because that happened constantly between me and her, I would just look and it would be an issue. I stopped looking at other women. And when I say I was looking at them, I wasn't imagining, ooh, she would be fun in bed, or ooh, I wonder what she sounds like. No, I was just looking to enjoy the view, literally. There were no nasty thoughts or, ooh, let me get her phone number. Nope. I was just watching. I remember our teacher when I was studying in school to be an electrician, he would always joke, looking is okay, touching is not. And he would say that in two directions. It's okay for his wife to look at other men but not touch them, or other man could look at his wife but not touch her. So see, there was two-way traffic. The woman is looking out, but she's also receiving viewers. So that always stuck with me. And when I was in this relation and suddenly looking wasn't even okay anymore, I just had to scratch my head. I'm like, wait a second, what's going on here? You're doing this. I say nothing. I'm doing the same thing. And to you, it's a huge emotional conundrum. So you see what's happening here. At an early age, we're already realizing we are limiting our happiness to make sure our partner doesn't have to feel uncomfortable. It's as simple as that. And all these discomforts are 9 out of 10 times based purely in emotional insecurity. That is what I have concluded, at least. If you have a different idea on why relations start to go south, I would love to hear it. Please leave it in the comments. Right? But what happens is we will at first brush this off like, oh yeah, I don't want to hurt my partner. Let me just, do what she says, or as he says, excuse me. But the longer this continues, you're gonna feel more and more and more and more caged, and sooner or later you're going to realize that one or both of you is becoming unhappy. And the kind of unhappy that makes you realize this is no longer, I mean, it's still a relationship, but you have limited each other's ability to enjoy life to such an extent you're essentially now bored together all the time. And this will be the next downfall of the relation. Sorry, there was an ant crawling on my screen. I keep looking at it. Anyway, you see what I mean? How long are you willing to tolerate this before you say, wait a second, I was born to explore and enjoy and experience life. And here I am in the experience of a relation, but everything else that I enjoy about life is slowly being chipped away from me. We got to be careful with that, or very observant at the very least. How much of yourself are you giving up out of fear of losing your partner? So, why do relations end? It's pretty much just that. We have suffocated each other for so long and to such an extent, neither of us is happy anymore. That's strange, right? Because this was the person that you met long ago. He made you happy. She made you happy. What happened? That's still the same person. You see, what happened is you took away each other's free state. You put a cage over each other. An emotional cage is not a physical cage like the bunny in the cage. This is something different. This is an emotional cage purely to protect your feelings. You are not telling your partner, don't go to the bar to protect his feelings. You are doing that to protect your own feelings. And I started studying this greatly in depth. I think in the last video or my introduction video, I told you guys I had a visual relation with a friend of mine for years and it started devastating me. So you could say that was terrible in hindsight for me. I think that was a blessing that I got to experience that visual love and devastation at an early age, because I see a lot of people that have been in a relation for several years. You can clearly tell both people are unhappy and yet they keep going home and keep having fights. Why? You're both unhappy. Can you not just sit down and say, look, we're both unhappy, what can we do? And if neither of you comes up with a workable solution, why is it such a bad idea to just call the relation quits? You had each other's time, you were happy for a while, it doesn't seem to be going good ever at all again, or you're just existing in the same place with no real contact with each other. Why not just say it out loud to each other? Are we still right for each other? Should we give each other more freedom, or should we just call it quits completely so we can both be free again? I think a lot of people, out of fear of being alone again, will just tolerate the emotional cage. I think a lot of relations nowadays are just that. So, you feel you're stuck in your relation. Why do you stay in it? Again, this is a form of security for us. We become attached to the cage in one way or another. Most animals do the same thing. A free animal, when you put it in a cage, it learns to live within the bounds of the cage. It no longer misses the outside. And when you open the cage, you take the cage outside, let's say your yard is fenced in. You take the cage outside and let the bunny, you just open the cage and let the bunny make up for itself whether it wants to leave the cage or not. That thing will not just jump out and start running around happily and freely. No, it takes this animal minutes, probably over an hour in most cases, to start exploring beyond its own cage again. But once they get comfortable doing so, they realize there is so much more out there than their little cage that they have lived in for so long. I have been in many relations, probably at least 2 dozen. And I'm talking all the way from childhood up until now. I'm 38. And I have also been married twice and I divorced twice. So by no means I am a relationships expert. But what I will claim is that I took the time to study for myself what is going on. Why does it get boring? Why do I keep feeling insecure when my partner goes out on their own, when they're on the phone with somebody and they're clearly having a good time? Why does it make me feel certain ways? Unhappy, insecure, jealous, whatever you want to call it. Why? Around age 25, I started really going in depth. I think around age 25 is a time of my life where I really sat down and started just studying everything altogether, not just relations, the meaning of life. What is dying essentially? Like, why do we even die? Why do we eat food? Like, I really looked at everything. I needed to make sense of all of life. And since this video is about relations, I want to share with you guys what I've finally figured out. And I'm by no means saying that what I figured out for me is going to work for everybody. If I'm going to say anything to you guys, it would be sit down with yourself for a minute and study what it is that you are not liking. And try very hard not to say, oh, well, I don't like this because my partner says this and that about it. No, make this about you and only you. It is, believe me, it's the easiest thing in the world to just blame your unhappiness on your partner. Well, I'm unhappy because she won't let me go out. Yes, I get that. That feels like that is true. But you got to go to the root cause. You're unhappy because you want to be free and your partner isn't letting you enjoy any form of freedom that counts as freedom to you. See what I mean? You are a free person. You're born free. You're going to die free. But we push each other into these little cages purely out of insecurity. So, I got to get rid of this ant. Sorry, guys. Give me 2 seconds. Whoop, on the floor. Great. Didn't kill it. I try hard not to kill anything that I don't like. I'd rather scoop it up and put it outside. But since this is a live video, I'm trying to stick with my video. So, yes, what did I actually figure out? I figured out that the insecurity rests in me, in all of us. I realized that I enjoyed a person when they were in their free state. And the moment we enter a relation, I started to realize our insecurities, all of us, is what prevents us from keeping each other to stay in that free, careless, happy, everything is amazing state. I started experimenting a little bit like the movie Yes Man with Jim Carrey. I don't want to make videos where I suggest, oh yeah, this movie explains this perfectly. No, I want to use my own voice, my own way of explaining things. But the movie Yes Man is essentially just a guy that has to say yes to everything. And towards the end of the movie, he figures out he wasn't supposed to say yes to everything, but the concept remained: say yes more often than no. So I started experimenting with a few more relationships, and I don't want to say I got in a relation purely for the experiment. No, these were genuine relationships, but I was experimenting with myself. When my partner asked me, "Would you mind if I go out with a couple of friends?" I no longer said, "Is it a he or a she?" In other words, I like, you see what I'm going? Like, is this maybe a partner from the past? Like, should I be worried here? Are you guys gonna dive in bed or do things behind my back I shouldn't know about? No, I just said, go and have a good time. And here is where the real experiment began for me. I didn't say, go and have a good time, and now I'm going to get in my car and quietly follow them. Or now I'll turn the GPS tracker on and see where they're really going or where she's really going. No, I really meant what I said, and that was my whole experiment. I met my partner when they were a free person. I'm going to try to enjoy my partner while still allowing all the freedom. She wants to go out with a school buddy. She wants to go out even with an ex partner. When I was younger and my partner would say, I want to go hang out with my ex, this happened a lot back then to all of us. We automatically said no because we just automatically assumed you guys are still having sex behind our backs. God, no. I just explained to my partners now, I enjoy you the way that you are, and I want you to enjoy life. You are on this planet. You incarnated to enjoy specific things. I incarnated to enjoy specific things. And like I said, when I was 25, I started studying everything. I actually fast forwarded to the end of life when you are on your deathbed. I don't ever want to think, God, I wish I would have done that before I was too old. And I pass that same theory on to my partners now. I don't want you to ever grow old and be disappointed in yourself that you didn't try something when you had the chance. So what do I mean by that? You see, your partner will always have several interests that you have zero interest in. I'll give you a silly example for me. I have been in relations where my partner was all about football and I have no interest at all in watching mainstream sports. But when it's football season, these people always hang out in big groups. They start drinking beer. They're having a great time, and I am not about that at all. I mean, that's a dumb live experience, really. I mean, you're all still looking at a TV screen. You know what I mean? But you see, what if I said, no, I don't like sports. Stay home with me. No, I realized my partner enjoys that. And even though I don't enjoy that, I shouldn't limit my partner from still enjoying that. Now, this is a simple example. It's just sports. So, what would be another good example? Like, I'm trying to find something that suggests she could be doing or he could be doing things behind your back, but still allow them that freedom to go be themselves, to go enjoy the things that they enjoy. None of us should grow old regretting things that we didn't do. And I'll tell you something funny. Do you remember when you were younger and you picked up a sharp knife, you were doing arts and crafts or whatever, and you cut yourself, boom, your finger is bleeding? It's easy to say that's a bad experience, right? But from now on, you have a much better grasp on how dangerous a knife is when you're handling it. So, although this was a quote unquote bad experience, you cut yourself, I think you can also say you now have a much more deeper appreciation for that knife. You're not just carelessly handling it anymore, you're much more thoughtful about what you're doing with this thing. So, I try to apply that same principle to partners. When they're asking me if they can go do something and I think it's a bad idea, I will still tell them, go and do that. I might, as a precautions say, well, there's a chance you could get hurt. Just, be careful. So we can both agree that we see there is some potential for a bad experience here, a danger, or you might break a leg, like, whatever, you go skiing with your buddy, something, or skating. But I'm still giving my partners that freedom now. And relations have changed dramatically for me ever since I came to that realization that I'm the one feeling insecure. This should be my problem. I shouldn't pass that problem on to my partner to make sure I feel happy and fuzzy inside and I don't have to worry about anything. No, nor do I think you should follow your partner everywhere they go. If you both enjoy that, beautiful, do that by all means. But you know what I mean? If you're going to stick around everywhere your partner wants to go purely to keep an eye on her, you are still suffocating one another. As a matter of fact, I am a huge believer that everybody should have alone time, like me time, whether that's a room in the house that is dedicated to only that one partner, that one person. I mean, that's one way to have some alone time. But I really also mean alone time in the free world where you just go hang out wherever you want to be, whether it's sit on a park bench and read your book, or a hike in the mountains, or sit by a fountain, stroll around in the mall by yourself. Why not? You see, that freedom to just be alone for a little bit also helps us let go of the stresses that we might get from our partner, even if unintentional. We give each other stress also easily without doing a thing. Just constantly being around each other is a gentle form of stress. So we got to be careful with that. So I think I covered here why the relations go bad. I think it is mostly because we just slowly suffocate each other. We slowly limit the freedom of the other person purely because we feel we might lose that person. Another thing that I really, really had to learn is being alone is not the end of the world. Most of us, we lose our relation and we become so depressed. We hate the world. We don't ever want to have another relation. We don't ever want to feel hurt like this. We don't ever want to be depressed like this. We avoid it altogether. That's not a solution, guys. But here is also something many people do, which is also a very bad idea. I'm alone. I am miserable. My boyfriend dumped me. Let me find somebody else. Why? What is so bad about you feeling broken, abused? I mean, that is not good, of course, but I mean, why is it so bad to sit alone with these feelings for a couple of weeks and let it all settle down, let it all fade away? We can be devastated for years. Some people can dwell on this to the point that they lose all feeling for life altogether. We have a few bad experiences, and what do? We avoid all other and new and potentially good experience. Why? Again, that fear of getting hurt again. It's as simple as that. So yes, please try and have a little bit of you time, alone time, where you can look within yourself. What is it that you need to be happy? And try to make that answer not to be a significant other. I discovered that I go to work, I pay my bills, and on the weekends I will take care of the outside, like mow my lawn, enjoy my swimming pool, read a book on my back porch, watch TV, watch a movie, cook dinner. I can do all these things perfectly, sufficiently by myself, and strangely enough, when I do them by myself, it makes me happy because I feel I took care of my space, my yard, my pool, myself by giving myself a book to absorb, a good movie to absorb. I feel I did something for myself, excuse me. And You could easily argue, yes, but it would be so much better if I had a significant other to snuggle with while I'm doing these things or to talk to while I'm doing these things. That is true. I will not deny that. All I am simply saying is you need to learn to be happy with just you before you drag somebody else into your life and put all your hopes of happiness onto that other person. I said in the last video, when you do that, you are turning the other person in a crutch, someone that you are constantly leaning on to stay happy and comfortable with yourself. Now, think of what happens to you when that crutch breaks or that crutch goes away. Again, you will be helpless. Again, you will be devastated. You see now why I'm saying find things that are easy to enjoy by yourself. Learn to find a way to be happy with yourself. Even more so, find out what makes you you. If you are a person that likes to tell jokes, keep that quality even if you get into a relation. If you are a partner, if you are a person that enjoys hiking in the mountains, do that when you're alone and do that with your partner. Don't just tell yourself, well, I'm not going hiking in the mountains because I have no one else to share it with. No. If you enjoy the mountains and a little river to walk along, go do that, even if you're alone. Who knows? You might find someone on your hike that has that same interest. And now you can talk to each other on the hike, but when you come back home and you're by yourself again, you can actually say, wow, I had a great conversation during my hike in the mountains, which I also enjoy. You see what I mean? You need to figure out what it is you enjoy when there is nobody else around. Try to not make it an expensive habit either. Like if you enjoy getting your nails painted and your hair colored every weekend, you're gonna be broke pretty quick. And also try to not use the things you enjoy to prevent your depression. In other words, hiding a bad thing by doing a good thing. It is perfectly fine to feel bad sometimes. Nobody feels 100% all day, every day. We all have a bad day. And when that day happens, just take it easy. Don't blame it on somebody else. Like, oh, I got cut off in traffic. My day went to hell. Oh, my boss here let me screw today. Oh, it's windy, cold, and raining outside. Boo, my life sucks. Find something else, but don't cover the bad with something good. So, yes, that is how I see where you can start to begin figuring out how relations are not necessarily the answer to our unhappiness. I'll tell you a little bit about my personal life. Once I figured out that in most relations, especially the millennials and the younger generations, we suffocate each other so easily, I took a different approach. As a matter of fact, this approach almost came to me naturally. I am a person that loves to help people with anything life experience wise. And I'm going to get quite a bit personal here. And I think this might be one of the reasons why um, I don't open my videos to under 18 age. Also, because the chat won't work, you cannot leave comments apparently if the video is kid friendly. Anyway, I have realized life is about experiences, your life experiences. And that does not have to be limited or inclusive to another partner. Some experiences you will want to have on your own. I'll give you a silly example. How many people are afraid of heights? There's plenty of them. What if you want to go skydiving? You might have to go do it alone. Would it be amazing to have your partner falling out of an airplane right next to you? Sure, no doubt. But if you have a fear of flying, a fear of heights, you know, what are you going to do? Are you going to be unhappy now because your partner won't do it? Or are you going to choose to be happy by jumping out of the plane yourself? Maybe your partner is willing to go with you and just stay on the ground, watch you fly, parachute and land and be waiting on the ground for you. Who's to say? So, anyway, yes, to me, I've come to realize it's all about life experiences. It is all about trying things, good and bad. If you don't know whether you're going to like something or not, try it. The worst thing to do is assume you're not going to like it and therefore by default say, nope, not interested. Nope, I'm not going to try that. I might get hurt and I don't want to get hurt. Right? That's what we do. We just take a quick glance and we say, nope, I don't want to, not going to happen to me. Try to at least excuse me. Try. That's all I'm saying. Try new activities. If a friend invites you to go try something new, just say yes. What's the worst that could happen? You walk away and you say, look, I'm not enjoying this. I'm think I'm gonna go back home. That's totally fine. Except that you don't know whether you may or may not like something. And definitely accept that whatever you think you might not like about it is an illusion. You might have watched a YouTube video on skydiving. Guess what? You don't smell the air. You don't feel the moisture falling from an airplane. You don't feel the fear from a YouTube video or the excitement. I mean, I went skydiving a few years ago, so I've done it. I had dual feelings towards it. Like, what if my chute doesn't open? I'm just, boom, pancake on the ground, like dead essentially. So, but I do love that adrenaline rush. Like, I love driving my car very fast on the highway. That's the same thing. It's an adrenaline rush. Am I going over the speed limit? Of course. Is that dangerous? That depends on you. Are you dumb enough to do this in very busy traffic, or do you just do it late at night when there is nobody on the road and hopefully no police either? You see, you have to take the good and the bad together and do what is safe for you and the other people around you if you're going to do silly things like that. I'm well aware speeding isn't a good thing to do, but I've tried the quarter mile drag strip thing. It's not for me. It's just such a short. By the time you're up to speed, it's time to hit the brake. That's I don't know. I don't enjoy that. So anyway, life experiences. I have realized I want to help give people life experiences that are worth remembering for the rest of your life, especially experiences you're only probably going to have once or twice. Like the skydiving, it is expensive, but it is definitely something I would suggest everybody try at least once. There is just nothing like it. Even sitting on a roller coaster that goes straight down, it's not the same. A roller coaster is on a track. You are strapped into a steel harness. You can hold on to it. Skydiving is nothing like that. You fall out of a plane and it's whatever goes through your mind at that point. It's not comparable to a roller coaster, not in my opinion at least. It's not comparing to speeding on the highway either. So you see, but anyway, life experiences. So this will probably be the first time that I mention it, but I am also into BDSM. You might call it kink or bondage, submissive dominant relationships. I am a dominant or what we call a sadist, although I don't blindly inflict pain on people. I inflict life experiences on people with their consent. You see, I think if we're all honest with each other, I think a lot of us walk around with some sort of rape fantasy. That sounds weird to say on a YouTube video, right? But to us, that's an erotic fantasy in some weird way. Some of us walk around wondering what it would be like to be, tied up to the bed and be flogged with toys or be pleasured with toys and you can't walk away from it. These are weird fantasies that most of us have. And since there is not necessarily a large, let's say only 10% of the population wants to experience these things, you want to experience that with some form of safety, right? I mean, I really hope nobody ever gets raped unknowingly, unwillingly, or nothing. But at the same time, if there is enough people out there that really want to experience strange scenarios like that, I think there should be a place where we can offer each other these experiences without having to say, okay, well, but we need to be in a relation. Like, other than that, there's nothing safe about this. No, I really think we can sit down as adults, have this relation, and then we go back our own ways. Like, not some insecure feelings of like, wow, this was really fun. I want you to come back, and like start suffocating that person again. Don't do that. Have this experience and let it go. That way, when you are old, you will remember you had this great experience. You both did, ideally. That's the whole idea here, to both be happy, but not suffocate each other. So that is something that I also do in my free time. And for the longest time, I could not comprehend how I am such a kind, loving person. And at the same time, one of the things that I enjoy is BDSM, kink, inflicting pain or discomfort or, predicament bondage. I love these things. Again, when I was 25, I started looking at that. How can these two characters exist in my body? One person wants to help people and love people and make life great for everybody, and here is this other version that wants to inflict pain. That's strange, right? Until I realized these two are in the same. They're my yin and yang. They're two opposites, but they work together. I realized that life experiences are the good stuff, and even what seems to be bad can be a good experience if both people consent to it, if both people want to have that experience in a form of safety, open communication, and we both know what we're in for. I think we should be able to offer each other experiences. Like, for me, it's BDSM. There are other things out there that I'm absolutely not interested to. But wouldn't it be nice if you could just have a good experience with a person you don't really know, and just go have the experience, and then you both go back home to your life, you whatever, your partner, your pet, or your job that you're living for. You see what I mean? Suffocating each other is the worst thing we can do. Is it dangerous to give your partner that kind of freedom to also have sexual experiences with other people? Again, sit down, be honest with each other, be open with each other. I am not a person that is looking to have sex with as many people as I can. No, I'm a person that values life itself. I value that we can have experiences, which in my mind is the only currency we should ever be looking at humans. We shouldn't be looking at how many hours we work. We shouldn't be looking how expensive the cars are that we drive. We shouldn't be looking at our bank account, how much money is there. I mean, sure, don't let it go negative. You know what I mean? We measure life by all the wrong things. Life experiences are what life is about. A long time ago, I read a bumper sticker on a car, and it made instant sense to me. The sticker said, I do not intend to tiptoe through life only to arrive safely at death. You see what that sticker is saying? Most of us are so afraid of being damaged, being hurt, being lost, never finding love again, that we tiptoe through life only to grow old unbroken, to grow old with having had experience about nothing. If you're sitting on your couch all day watching YouTube about other people's life experiences, that is not the same. And yet, that is the world we have ended up in. We watch other people do awesome things, and some part of us is convinced that we've done it too now, and we think we had a life experience. I'm sorry, that is not a life experience to me. That is an illusion of a life experience. Everything you see on video will never match doing that particular thing for yourself. If you watch somebody doing stunts on a bicycle and you feel awesome and adrenaline, like, whoa, that's cool. Can you now get on a bicycle and do that same thing? No. You see, what you saw on that video took years for that person to master. And here you think you found the thrill of stunts on a bicycle. Not even close. So you see, that is what I have concluded. Life is about life experiences. And if you take them away from your significant other, you're going to lose each other in the process. Here is a solution. I have been trying this for the last 3 years, and I think this is going to be a permanent thing for me. I became spiritual also around age 25 because I realized religion wasn't for me. Again, rules limit us. We are free people, and if it doesn't give us freedom, it's a limiter by default for me. What was I saying? So, yes, what am I trying now? In the last 3 years, I am giving polyamory a try. It is not that I wanted multiple sex partners. It is just that I don't want to ever cage anybody again. And I don't ever want to be caged myself either. I want my partners and myself to have every life experience that we even think we might want to try. Even if I am not interested in the experience, I am going to give you my blessings when you walk out the door and say, have a good time. And if you want to tell me about your experience afterwards, I would love to hear it. But when you come home, I am not going to question you purely out of insecurity. As a matter of fact, you come home, I will only have one question. Did you have fun? That is all I hope for. And let's assume you had a horrible experience. Wouldn't it be great if you can talk to your partner about it without him having or her having to react jealous? The only thing that I'd still look out for is our physical well-being. And what do I mean by that? If you are going to be bumping around with multiple sexual partners, if either of you gets an STD, that's a big problem. And that is the only limiter. For those not watching the screen, I'm making air quotes here. That is the only quote unquote limiter that I do induce in the relation. And I don't like to see that as a limiter. I like to see that as a caution sign. If you bring something like that home, we pass it on between each other, and now we are both limited in what we can do with other people. So that is not something I'm trying to run into. There has been times where there was more than one partner, and funny enough, it worked well, which I didn't really expect. Recently, somebody I'm talking to said to me, I don't easily like other women, especially if we're going to be in a relation with several women, because women always seem to tear each other down. We seem to be very jealous creatures, tearing each other down all the time. Why is it that we can never build each other up? And I realized she is expressing that cage again. We want to feel better than others. And if we can't be better than others, we create it ourselves by tearing other people down. That's also something terrible that I've witnessed throughout my life. And yes, I agree. Women and men sometimes too do that to each other. We tear each other down just to feel better about ourselves. But that is why I had that whole talk earlier about make sure you know your values. Make sure you know what you enjoy by yourself. If someone else tears that down for you, it will not matter because you know it, you enjoy it. You sit on your porch reading books and you meet someone who says reading books is the stupidest thing ever. It's the biggest waste of time. You don't have to take it as an insult. He didn't insult you. What he is saying is he doesn't enjoy books. If you do, don't take that personal. Accept that that person enjoys something, does not enjoy something, and you do. There is no ground for an argument here. There is a ground to acknowledge you like books and they do not. That's not a ground to argue why they should read books or why you should not read books. No, let it go. Know that you enjoy books and reading them, and accept that that person has an opinion about it. Don't make that your opinion. They have their opinion, and give them that freedom to have the opinion. That's another beautiful thing about life. None of us are identical. All of us have different interests. Why can't we love each other for that instead of making that something to argue about? Like, that makes me laugh so much. Like, just racism alone. Aren't we all humans? Isn't humanity a race? What are we worried about skin color for? Like, it's the most absurd thing to me. You know what I mean? Like gender, the same thing. Like, yes, some of us have a penis, other people have a vagina. Why do we have to discriminate about that? I don't get it. We all have a body. We can all do mostly similar physical behavior. All of us can lift weight. All of us can bend over. Like, why is gender a thing, a problem too? Like, I don't get it. It humors me now, but that is the world we live in. We try and divide and conquer everything. Someone always has to come out on top. Someone always has to be better. Why? It's hilarious. It's mind blowing. Is what it is. To me, it has become humorous now. How crazy that has become. I turn the news on, and believe me, I block the news out of my life. When I say I turn the news on, it's more I eat on the road at work, and when you go in a gas station, it's usually CNN or whatever that's playing on the TV. So every now and then I see it, and all I see is there is a war going on here. What are we doing? We're dividing nations again. Black Lives Matter rallies are going on again. Why are we saying Black Lives Matter? Doesn't all life matter? That's how I feel about it. All lives matter, including black lives. My cat is black, Black lives matter to me too. So you see, to me, it's all becoming silly that we are picking on each other for differences while we should be loving each other for them. It's as simple as that. Right now, I am in a relation with a person that I have given all that same freedom. There are things she enjoys that I don't enjoy. She loves being social on her cell phone and her laptop in chat groups all the time. Again, with both genders, I have zero jealousy towards it now. For more than 10 years now, I've realized it's all about experiences. If she enjoys that, who am I to take that away from her out of my own insecurity? Nobody. And we are both seeing other people with each other's consent. And the best part of all is she can come home saying, "Whoa, I met this cool dude, and he's into this and that and that, and we might hang out sometime and go play bowling." I'm happy for her. I am no longer insecure. I'm like, "Oh my god, is this guy gonna take off with my girlfriend? And I'm gonna be alone again?" No. I'm like, "Oh my god, I am so happy that you are happy, and I'm enjoying your happiness now." You see that? Her happiness is now becoming an experience for me. I have a partner that is happy. I don't even care that somebody else made her happy for a few hours. I care that she is happy, period. The end, period. You see what I'm doing there? I am creating freedom and still having space for a relation without suffocating at all. I find it sad that polyamory implies it's multiple sex partners because, as I keep saying here, I became spiritual around age 25, so that would be about 13 years ago now. And I believe me, I read many esoteric books, like all the Eastern texts, like the Bhagavad Gita, and all the raw material, the law of one, the law of oneness. I'm kind of expressing it in this video. Everything is one. All our differences, we are still all one. We just have to look past these differences and see them as positive things. So, yes, both of us see different people and we can speak openly to each other about that. She has her own house. I have my own house, but we still hang out together. She has brought her date to my house and I shook the guy's hand like, hey, how are you? Hey, we both work for UPS. Awesome. Let's talk about that for a bit. You see, you don't have to hate each other out of fear. Anyway, guys, I'm going to end my video here, I think. So you see, relations, there is good, there is bad, but there is always a solution. If you struggle with something in your relation, or if you're insisting on staying alone to never get hurt again, come on, say something in the comments, because I promise you the world will continue to go on, whether you hide from it or whether you choose to participate in it. It will go on, and your life will go on too. Choose to be happy, choose to be free, choose to experience life. And if it appears to be bad, let's talk about that. I promise you something good is in that bad you are saying is bad. All right, my name is Aiden. Please subscribe, please comment, and I will see you guys in the next video. Enjoy the rest of your day.